lifestyle changes and so that they can feel better and heal through food. So we love doing this together because I get to kind of do the food piece and she gets to do some teaching you, all these wonderful things about food. So we're really excited about this topic. And people who are already members here, we're using this to dramatically change the way we feel in a very kind of unconventional way. But I know when I walk out of squeeze, red light, or cryo, my pain and inflammation goes down dramatically. Okay, so how do we pair that with food also, right? And like hit it in two ways. So I will go ahead and turn it over to her.
So I see some familiar faces from last month. Was anybody here during the Health Expo when I did the lecture on, I thought that was you, because you know what I remember about you two? You were really happy and you laughed a lot. That's the kind of energy we need today. Because, sometimes I get so passionate about nutrition. You wouldn't think you could, but I'm that nerdy girl who loved it in high school. I loved biology and ate it up. Now I get why. But back then it wasn't the cool thing to do, but I've been able to use it to, not to sound corny or anything, but this is truly my calling in life. And I was fortunate enough to meet Andrea. By the way, I highly recommend having a friend that is a chef. Best choice ever. I mean, yeah, her husband's back there like, cheers. But we met at Be Healthy Utah. We both presented and, she spoke my lingo, but then I thought, our powers combine, I teach, and then she shows, and you get to taste it. That's better than just me talking, So how many of you are members of Upgrade Lab? That's a fair amount of you. So you're already familiar with that part of anti-inflammatory healing. So this is another aspect to it, and a very powerful one too, but those combined, and I'll talk about that too. You're hitting your inflammation and your healing from all angles, and that's powerful for your healing. So just trying to gauge where you guys are on your health journeys, and if you're willing to go there, who here has dealt with inflammation of any kind or is dealing with it? So and if you were not here last week, I'll confess again, once upon a time, this Polynesian ate like a Polynesian and gained 60 pounds and experienced inflammation because of that. Okay, and maybe one of these times, if you keep coming, you'll be lucky enough to see those pictures that I hide in the dark corner on my hard drive on my computer, but maybe I'll go there one day and show you, just so you know that I've been there and I know what that feels like. And I've had to heal that myself, and the joints and everything, the joint pain that comes with it. So also I wanted to know, so that was a fair amount of you, and a lot of people that I see have inflammation of some kind. So I'm a certified integrative nutritionist and health coach. So that means I don't just see people for weight loss usually. Often their health has been so knocked out of balance that it's manifesting in an inflammatory condition like a disease. Cancer is a big one that I see. My mom is my favorite example. Her healing, she decided to try it naturally, and it was all through nutrition, and she did heal. It is possible. That's why I tell you that. It was no joke what we did, and I actually touch a lot on it today. I also have a lot of autoimmune. I have a lot of hormone imbalance, heart disease, diabetes. Just inflammation is what all of that is. And so what I've done is I've taken all the common denominators of all of my patients that I've seen healing with, and they're in here for you. And it's not just what I've seen works. There's science to back it all. I do believe that's important as well. So I'm not just up here giving you fluff, okay? So if this Hawaiian can do it, if this Hawaiian can do it, you can definitely do it. So I hope that gives you hope. So let's get right into it then, okay? So I love this analogy, and I think you know where I'm going with this, okay? So the scenario is, You have a sick fish that you need to take care of, okay? And you have 3 options, as you can see. Option number 1 is to solely medicate the fish, okay? Option number 2, clean the environment or the water. Option number 3 would be a combination of both. Sometimes you may need a combination of both. If you're knocked far enough out of balance, you may need both medicine and to clean up the environment. But I will say this, no matter what you choose, you need to clean your environment, or you will not stay in a place of health. Medicine is not a permanent fix, but may be needed if, again, you're far enough out of balance. Not a fix, though. When it comes to healing, I want you to think of, on a cellular level, that's where we heal. And that is nutrition. That is lifestyle, largely nutrition. But when I say lifestyle, you also need to manage your stress, guys. Yes, I'm gonna go there. I'm not gonna get all therapy on you, but I have to mention it because that is one of the chronic causes of inflammation is stress. Unmanaged stress. We all live in the same world, so we're gonna be stressed at some point. But how you manage that is key, okay? So improving the fish's environment can heal the fish, address the root cause. This is something Andrea and I both agree on. We always go to the root cause. Always, always, always. Otherwise, we're just dealing with the tip of the iceberg, and we want to get to the root. That's where healing takes hold, okay? So, as I said before, if we are to heal, we cannot stay in the same environment that made us sick. We must clean the tank. I just had this conversation with my sweet client. She was doing everything right. Her diet was right. She was stress managing, but her environment was toxic. That's how important that is. So she went home to a very toxic environment. But she was doing all the other things right, but couldn't figure out why she was still chronically stressed. And that we saw it in her blood work too, by the way, that will show up in your blood work. Okay, her cortisol was through the roof. That interferes with hormone health, by the way. It interferes with gut health. And we were seeing all the things, and she's like, I don't get it, I'm doing it all. I'm like, you're doing it all, except you're putting yourself back into a dirty tank every single day. It's hard to heal when you do that. So I see a lot of people surviving. I want you to thrive. I don't just want you to, you deserve to. We are meant to be in a place of health, and I can tell you that because our body is actually designed to be in a state of health, which we will talk about as well. So some of these I touched on, but we got to go there. Before I even get into the nutrition, there's a reason I'm talking about this, or it wouldn't even be in here, okay? These can cause imbalance. So environmental toxins, sometimes we see our air can get pretty crummy. Luckily, that's not all year round. We're about to have fresh air, by the way, after rain. Great time to go outside. The water we drink, don't touch your tap water, please don't. Fluoride, all the other things, I could go on and on and on. But believe it or not, that is affecting your health. Inflammatory acidic foods, American diet. We'll go there in a minute. From last week, my daughter, by the way, she was here last week, she's here again today, my cute daughter, and she's like, please stop saying the American diet. You say it way too much. So I'm gonna try to say that a little less, but I have to say it at least once or twice. Insufficient sleep, that's a big one. Guess what? That's where you do a lot of your healing and repairing. That's where your brain offloads and detoxes. When else can it do that? Because the rest of the time when it's awake, input, 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 input. You've got to get your sleep, and quality sleep, and I'm talking 7 to 9 hours a night. So for some clients, that's the one they get hung up on. So you know what I have them do? Set an alarm. You set an alarm to wake up, equally as important, or more, is your sleep. So if you need to set an alarm to go to bed at a certain time, and even better, get that phone away from your bed. Blue light at night will interfere with melatonin releasing in your brain, which happens, by the way, naturally. If there's not a blue light, meaning a screen, in your face, naturally melatonin starts to release about 10 p.m. in your brain. Unless you interrupt that process with a blue screen, which a lot of us do. So that's why I say get rid of that blue screen, put it far away from your bed. Gift yourself sleep. It's one of the best things you can do for brain health as well, but also for inflammation. And then you can see, we'll go into what else stress does, but as I said, your gut permeability, which means the integrity of your gut lining, takes a hit the more stressed you are. Add in, if we're eating foods that aren't the best for us, now it's taking another hit. And when they say your gut is the root of health, that is so true. And now let's talk about mental health for a second, which, guys, when I have clients fill out a health history form and I ask what their main concerns are, 8 out of 10 people will mention some kind of mental health something. That is how prominent it is. And I don't even blame anybody, because this world that we're plugged into is insanely fast-paced and artificial in every way. It's so against our biology, and that's how we're responding as chronic stress. So it's important to know what it's doing to you. This isn't to say, there's no help. There's a way to unplug. I'm going to give you those tips. There's a way to do it. Lack of sun, fresh air, earth exposure. Yes, I am one of those granolas, and I am proud of it. Every morning, this is so important for my mental health, part of my meditation in the day, and to get my circadian rhythm, which is your natural 24-hour clock, the way I keep it in sync, and also mental health, mind-body connection, I will go outside, sun immediately on my skin, in my eyes, bare feet in the grass. That's grounding. The sunlight, first thing in the morning, helps set your circadian rhythm, saying, oh, my body needs to wake up, natural energy boost, and it's setting your natural 24-hour clock to be the rhythm it's supposed to be. So screens away at night, natural sun first thing in the morning, and you're going to help your natural 24-hour clock. Yes?
So I've heard a lot about that, but my question is, what do you do when it's like winter here and your feet are freezing?
It's so true. So that is a great question, and it drives me bonkers, especially being Hawaiian in the cold.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will still, at least once a week, we're so fortunate, by the way, to have the mountains right there.
Right.
So I will still make it up to the mountains, even if you're just driving there, get a breath of fresh air, or something nature. You don't have to put your feet in the snow. But if you're diehard like that, cool. But go get you nature some way, somehow. Even if you step outside your front porch and breathe in cold air for maybe 5 minutes. Have a blanket, I like green tea in the morning. I'll have that in hand, or my matcha green tea, side note. That's my morning ritual. Do that with your cozy blanket, but still get some kind of nature, fresh air, sunlight, something. But especially in winter. We think in winter we need to hibernate. That's when we need sun more. And side note, I also recommend supplementing vitamin D3 during the winter seasons, because we are not getting enough of it. And that's huge mental health as well, but it's immunity as well. It's also anti-inflammatory. It's one of the supplements I'm going to recommend. So great question. I'm glad you asked that. We have long winters here. I feel it. And no movement. Now, I will say 80% of your health will be nutrition. And a lot of it's also mental health stuff. You got to support yourself in that way, some of the ways I showed you. But all the correct nutrition cannot compensate for lack of movement. There's a place for both. And I'm not saying you have to kill yourself in a gym. Walking is actually very powerful. And then you can also do it outside. Now you're getting your nature. You're getting your sun, your fresh air, you're moving. I'm all about being more efficient. I am a busy woman. Everybody here is busy. We have busy lives. And just a 30-minute walk does wonders for mental health as well, but physical as well. Because if it helps your mental health, guess what else it helps? It's a beautiful thing. So I'm a big fan of walking. And if you have an inflammatory condition where you're in pain, and a lot of my clients do, then I say, maybe you do something like in a pool where there's no gravity. I'm also a swimmer for that reason. So if that's water aerobics, try it out, but I promise you there's something for everybody. Now, if I have, just trying to be considerate of everybody here, if you do have an inflammatory condition like autoimmune or cancer, and if it's pretty far advanced to where the pain is pretty intense, there is such a thing as too much movement, because you can't overstress your body. Those conditions are, or your body's already stressed. So anybody in that condition, I would say, don't go crazy on a workout. Walking, if it doesn't hurt you too much, gentle movement, okay? Got to reiterate that if you're already in an inflammatory condition. You got to really tune into your body so you don't overdo it. And yes, got to go there. Does somebody, I'm guessing there's a lot of us have at least one person in mind when I say unhealthy relationships, unhealed suppressed emotion or trauma. And I don't mean to make light of these things. I have my own stuff too. We all have our own people, experiences, whatnot. We don't have to carry it though. And if you do harbor that, it is hurting your physical health. It matters. It matters. I see there are so many, I'm going to use my father as an example. I can pick on him. He's not here. Polynesian men are taught that emotions are weakness. And that man needed to cry 20 years ago. I tell him this all the time. I'm like, man, your inflammation, I swear it's because you needed to cry 10, 20 years ago. You know, but it's a real thing. It's cortisol pumping through your veins. That's inflammatory. That's a stress hormone. You've got to offload that. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Offload it at some point. That is too much for you to bear. And you're not meant to go through life like that. Like I said, that is your natural state. And I know that because I studied biology, and biology says homeostasis, meaning your natural state is health. Your body is always trying to get you back to a state of health. That is your set point. Now, maybe somebody with a chronic disease is like, lady, you don't know how I feel right now. I'm in a lot of pain. That's only because there's a root cause and you haven't figured it out yet. But we are designed to be in a state of health. Something knocked it out of balance. And you've got to go there, as uncomfortable as that may be. And that can be emotional trauma too, is what I'm telling you. It's not always diet. And this is how your body tells you. This is how your body speaks to you. Now, real talk, who's experienced any of these symptoms? I would be surprised if nobody, yeah. Okay, yeah. Your body is talking to you. Some people get mad at their bodies. I see this a lot, especially with cancer. They resent their body. They feel betrayed by their body. They're mad at their body. Guess what? And I have to explain to clients, the last thing you want to do is make an enemy of your body right now. What you need to do is become an ally of your body so you can heal. Because if you're fighting your body, that's mind-body disconnection. That's cortisol pumping through your veins. That's inflammatory. We're trying to do the opposite. So your body's trying to get you in alignment with it. It's talking to you. It's not punishing you. That's what I want you to hear from this. Okay, hear that, please. Listen instead of fight it. Because it'll only interfere with the healing process. We got to get those feelings of resentment out of the way, anger out of the way. Those feelings will never serve you. They show up hormonally as cortisol, like I said, but they will also mentally destroy mental health. So I can tell when I get a client with any kind of disease, And which ones are going to go a little bit further? Usually the ones that are like, I'm here to figure it the hell out. And then there's ones that are throwing in the towel before I even get a word out. And I see the difference in progress, and it's night and day. Mental is a big part of your health journey. I'm telling you, the physical will follow. If you get this right, the physical follows. It really does. Unless you have a hormone imbalance, that's a conversation for another day. We want to align the two is what I'm trying to tell you. So root cause. This is the part I wish the medical field would study. They know medicine very well. Doctors, they're taught symptoms, diagnosis, the human body, human frame, medicine. I wish they were taught this. I wish they were taught nutrition, because in my perfect world, somebody goes to the doctor and they get a diagnosis, and in that same conversation, the doctor would be like, you know what? This is how you start healing. Here's the nutrition you need to start today. Instead of statins, healing would increase significantly. Oh man, I wish. I wish. But kudos to you for being here, because you're getting this conversation. So this is how you figure out your root cause. When did you start to notice the imbalance? This could be years ago. We get so busy, and a lot of us are so used to ignoring our symptoms. That's the thing, when the American diet is abbreviated SAD for a reason, Standard American Diet, right? It really makes you feel that way because it releases those chemicals in the body. So I find it kind of funny, that is abbreviated SAD, because that is what it does to your mental health and your body, right? But because that is the common diet in the United States, guess how people commonly feel? So they're so used to feeling out of balance. For example, clients with headaches and gut issues, so common. I see it all the time, and they think that's the norm. It's not the norm, you guys. Those symptoms are not the norm. That's, once again, going back to the other slide, your body talking to you. When did you start to notice the imbalance? Now I'm asking you to slow down, tune in. When did that start to happen? Okay? How was my body speaking to me? What was the symptom or symptoms? Okay, what was I eating? What were my stressors? I didn't stop at food for a reason. Once again, what were my stressors? What was my environment? Who were the people I was surrounded by? I'm telling you, your tribe and your circle will influence you for better or for worse. It's worth looking at. That's all I'm saying. Okay? And I know you don't want to hear this, especially if you're in pain now. But it's telling you something. And I could say this through gritted teeth. Apply this to life. Okay? We all go through trials. This doesn't just apply to nutrition. But dang it, there's truth in that. It's not accidental. It's there to teach you something. It's there trying to get your attention. It's saying, I need your help here. This is where the pain is. This is where I need your attention. Let's heal. There is purpose in pain. So again, the gut is the root of health. I like to take it further and even say mental health, because if it hurts your mental health, it hurts your physical health. Again, a conversation for another day. But just focusing on gut health, if you were here last month, this is going to be a refresher, hopefully. Bioindividuality means the diet that's best for your unique biology. So a perfect example of that is tomatoes, a lot of great vitamins, good things in it, right? Everybody thinks that's a health food. Not if your biology says it's not. We have unique biology, unique needs. Okay? So I've seen this between clients. Nightshade vegetables, eggplants, for example, could be a great nutritious food for many of us. Unless your biology says, nope, that doesn't sit well with me, that's not a health food to you then. It's important to honor your unique biology. And that's what I mean by the best diet for you is the one that sits well with your unique biology. So all these foods I'm going to talk about is not a one-size-fits-all. True health never is. You're going to have to experiment on you a little bit. And it's important that you do. This is why I do not like fad diets, because those are trying to fit you into a box that you never belonged. You're too unique. You deserve better than that. So how you test these things. Now first, did you know most of your immune system lines your gut? So when I get a lot of compromised guts, right? If somebody has any kind of health condition, I know that their gut is compromised to a degree. For sure, okay? And then one of the telltale signs of that is if they're chronically getting sick. If you're that person that's like, somebody has a cold, I know I'm going to catch it, I got to stay away. That was me growing up, by the way. Because back in the day, how they treated everything was antibiotics. I was pumped full of those as a kid. Now I'm all about probiotics, but I had to rebuild my gut as an adult because of that. And I was always that kid that got sick all the time. So it's important that you know that most of your immune system cells line your gut. So I tell you that because if your gut is compromised, guess what's also being overworked? Your immune system. And that's why your immune system will be tired and you'll be more susceptible to getting sick than the average person. You build up your gut, you build up your immune system. So 95, now this is mental health stuff. I don't know if you've heard it yet, but the integrity of your gut also affects your mental health, your state of your mental health for many reasons, but also 95% of your serotonin is actually produced in your gut. Serotonin is one of your big feel-good hormones. That's worth noting. Science is cool sometimes. This is cool science and fairly new. We didn't know this not even 10 years ago. So when partially digested foods make it past in compromised gut, now this is going to take you back to last week. A healthy gut, the cells will be close together, lining your gut. A compromised gut, those cells start to separate. And food particles, bacteria, things are making it past the gut lining that were never meant to. So then your immune system's called in for backup over and over. Inflammatory cytokines is what your immune system cells push out. So if you have inflammation of any kind in your body, that's like fuel on that fire. Your immune system's doing what it's supposed to when there's inflammation. Chronic inflammation is when that's not turned off. Like a compromised gut, like an autoimmune disorder, like name the disease, that's chronic inflammation, or otherwise known as chronic low-grade inflammation, okay? So, top reactive foods. Again, I'm not saying never have these foods, so don't hate me, okay? But these are the top inflammatory foods. So now you can't leave here saying you don't know. You choose. I'm just educating. Dairy, believe it or not. And I'm lactose intolerant, so I can tell you that's not my friend anyway. What it is about dairy is you have the lactose, which is the sugar. Gluten. The gluten in America is so processed, it's not even normal gluten compared to the other countries. It is extra hard on our gut. Gluten is like double bad in America, is what I'm trying to tell you. Sugar, now gluten, I lean away from gluten too, just because knowing that the gut is the root of our health, I try to protect that as much as possible and build that up as much as possible. So anything that may compromise that, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I never feel deprived. I never want it to be about deprivation because it shouldn't be. For me, there's so many amazing options out there. I just don't feel the need. I really don't. That's what it is. I also know how these will make me feel. I tested this. How you test it is, and this can go for any food, not just these. If you notice you're feeling bloated, I want you to go revisit, what did I eat that day? And you have something in mind that could have been it, Inflammatory fats is a big one, okay? Test it, remove it from your diet for 28 days, then reintroduce it. Watch what your body does. That's how I knew I was lactose intolerant. I was TMI, but I'm just a real talker. I was so bloated the second I reintroduced dairy that I was like, I thought I'd miss it, but I was so miserable that I'm like, I am so off that, I don't want it. Now that I know what the culprit was, I'm like, that is like a bad ex-boyfriend. I don't want it. That's how I want you to look at those foods. So test those foods that are in question, okay? There's a lot to go over, I know. So I'm just gonna let you digest for a minute. Last week we talked about the basics of nutrition. I have that in the top right corner. The old school way of thinking, right? We talked about everybody's calculating their calories in, calories out, and I'm over here like, guess what? Your cell health matters. It's not just calories in, calories out. And then some people, like in the bodybuilding world, will be like, my macronutrients, I got to calculate that. I shouldn't be so rude about it. They just get so hung up on their protein, which is excellent, by the way. So calories broken down further is your macronutrients, your protein, carbs, and fats. Break it down even further, we're talking about micronutrients, which are the vitamins and minerals, life-sustaining things for your cells. That's where I go, because you're only as healthy as your cells. So that's what's happening on a cellular level when you eat these inflammatory foods. Your blood is not meant to be thick or sluggish. But when we're regularly eating those foods, that's what happens. It becomes, and I want to give you that visual, it becomes slush. And guess what cannot move very well through your blood when that happens is oxygen. And oxygen is so important for your cells. So they work optimally, not just for your cells, for your tissues. And when your tissues are not getting enough oxygen, guess what happens to your body? Just guess. Inflammation. So how do you combat inflammation? That is huge key right there. You need to get oxygen into you. Ideally through what you eat. The idea is you want your body to be high in oxygen and alkaline. That is a healing environment. That's your fruits and veggies. Those are the most alkaline things you can eat. Acidic is the opposite of healing. And that's depriving you of oxygen, and that's those foods right there. Obviously, there's more, but those are the big players in the American diet. Ava, that was only 3 times that I've used it so far. I'll be done with using that term. Okay, yes?
Okay, so about inflammatory foods, I hear different, like I believe in eating that way, getting the vegetables and greens, and then I saw something the other day that said kale and spinach have something in their
The enzymes.
Yeah, that actually tear your gut lining, and I thought, well, if I can't eat spinach,
I actually was hoping somebody would ask me this. It very much depends on where your gut health is. So if you have a compromised gut, you're going to be sensitive to a lot more than the average person. So where gassy foods like kale, anything in the cruciferous family. So when I say that, by the way, the cruciferous veggies, think kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, right? Not just that, beans, another gassy food. Normally very great. I personally love them, and I would never remove them completely from somebody's diet because anything in the cruciferous family is some of the most alkaline fruits and veggies, or veggies that you can eat. In fact, we were juicing that for my mom, so that's part 2 of what I'm going to tell you. If your gut is compromised and you know it can't handle anything gassy, I wouldn't have you do that to a compromised gut, but I would say try juicing, because juicing removes a lot of the fiber. It also breaks it down so your gut's not having to do that. Now it's liquid form. The fiber's gone, took a lot of the work off of your gut, but you're still getting the nutrients. I would never say remove some of the most powerful vegetables from your diet, but there's a way to do it. Yeah, and you know what? Guess what, guys? you can find an opposing article for every statement I make. And for everything you read online, you can find an opposing article. This is why it's important to do your research, but even more important to test it on your own body. But yeah, speaking from experience and what I know scientifically and what worked with my mom's healing from cancer, I will tell you, never get rid of those completely. There's a way around it, and juicing would be a great option. I love that you asked that, thank you. But I want you to understand what's happening to your body on a cellular level with inflammation, okay? So number one, core dysfunction occurs inside your cells, causing metabolic dysfunction and impairing its ability to make energy. La 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 la. Basically saying you've clogged up your cells by eating inflammatory foods, and by doing that, it is not efficient. We've all taken biology, right? So we know every cell has mitochondria in it, and that's what makes ATP or energy. Okay, I'm done being that nerdy. What I'm saying is that whole process becomes sluggish, just like your blood thickens and gets sluggish. So do your cells. And when that happens, your struggling cells then say help to your immune system. And so your immune system will then recruit cells for help. They're saying, we need to get to this area that needs help in the body where the struggling cells are, and it will release inflammatory cytokines to try to get other immune system cells to the area that needs help. That's why inflammatory cytokines are released. So again, your body's doing what it needs to. Collateral damage, though. As a result, there's inflammation. Okay? That's fine if it's not chronic inflammation. You get a cut, that's the process that happens too, but then it turns off. Chronic inflammation is, it's not turning off, this is constantly happening. Step 3, inflammatory cytokines to protect itself from itself. The idea is this needs to turn off. You need to heal so that turns. And I'm going to turn it over to Andrea right now. And it's perfect timing because as you see with her food, as you're tasting it, it is your most powerful medicine. And if you think about it, it's administered at least 3 times a day or however many times you eat. That's 3 opportunities to give yourself the most powerful medicine there is. Okay? Go ahead, Andrea.
Yeah. All right. For the second piece that I'm going to give you guys, we're going to talk about the opposite of all the foods that she's been talking about, and what are the foods that are really good for us and help fight inflammation and make us feel better and give us all of those wonderful, all of those wonderful polyphenols. So I have made you a little, just a sample anti-inflammatory salad. It's got all kinds of colors, as you can see. And she's about to get into a lot of the benefits of everything that's in here. So I'm not gonna spoil her thunder. But what you'll see is color and greens, and I've even got some fruit. I've got all kinds of things in here. First of all, okay, what do you think so far? There's some pretty heavy vegetables in there. Carrots and beets, raw, can be really strong. They might not be the first thing you would choose to throw on a salad. I love them. And also arugula is at the bottom. And arugula can be really spicy for people. So I'll tell you a little bit about why I combined the things I did in there. And this is a little bit from a class I teach about how to make bitter vegetables taste better. Like, we really should be eating these bitter vegetables: arugula, mustard greens. Swiss chard, for some people, might feel harsh and green if you don't eat it a lot. Kale can be really harsh, especially raw. But those things have so many wonderful nutrients in them for us, and they might be hard for some of us to eat. But when you pair them with an opposite flavor, like something sweet. So with the arugula, I've put blueberries in there. I might have put roasted sweet potatoes. Something sweet helps calm that arugula down a little bit. Other things that help with bitter vegetables are anything with acid. So like vinegar, lemons, oranges. So the carrots and beets are raw. So one, I cut them pretty small, really thin, so a little bit easier to eat and digest. And then I tossed it with a really good olive oil and a squeeze of some orange juice and a little bit of apple cider vinegar. So those only sat since maybe 2 o'clock this afternoon. If I really wanted to help break them down a little more, I would have made them yesterday and let them sit in the fridge, because that acid's gonna help soften and make that vegetable a little bit easier to eat, a little easier to digest, and then a little bit of salt too. The salt kind of helps to soften that vegetable. There's quinoa in there for a little protein, because how many of you eat a salad for lunch and you are not satisfied and you're looking for something again, like within a couple hours? Salads, I'll tell you, it's not that a salad is a bad thing for you to eat for lunch. It's that you're missing something. You either needed more fat or you needed more protein in that salad. Just salad, just greens, just tomatoes, maybe some beans, maybe a few other things, cucumber, whatever. Like, that is not enough. Your body needs something to sustain it. So some grilled chicken, some avocado. Think about adding more protein next time, and or adding more fat. And those two, one of those things, or maybe even both, will help you get all the way to dinner and not be looking for that extra snack 2 or 3 hours. So part of it is I've put quinoa in here, which is protein. And that quinoa was tossed with, again, a little olive oil and a little bit of, I did a little golden balsamic vinegar. And I chose that vinegar because it's a little bit sweeter. Again, trying to balance that arugula out. Again, the blueberries, a good quality olive oil, and that. And then I put some nuts on top. That's another really great fat and protein. So all of these ingredients, and there's edamame. There's whole soybeans in there, which are a whole food versus just having soy milk or tofu or things like that. You're getting the fiber, you're getting all of that. So I gave you actually a couple different forms of protein in there. I really like to cook quinoa just like I cook pasta, where I put it into boiling water and then I drain it when it's the amount cooked that I like, versus I know a lot of packages will also say a specific amount of quinoa and a specific amount of water, and then you put the lid on and it's done, and then you can fluff it. Sometimes it doesn't come out the way I want it, and so I cook it just like pasta, where you boil it and you taste it until it's like just the right doneness, and then you drain it and you're done. And then I dumped it out on a cookie sheet to help it cool really quick, because in here I want it to be a little chewy. I don't want it to get mushy. Okay, you guys. All right, we're going to go back to Kahiki and keep talking about the good foods, right?
The live foods. I caught that from last week. You guys remember me saying that? Live foods versus dead foods. You remember that? It's worth repeating. Sorry, not sorry, but when you're in the grocery store, the colors that you saw, well, you ate them now. Eat the rainbow. All those colors represent vitamins and minerals. That's life. You're eating life. You want to feel alive? You got to eat life. But if a client's coming to me and I do a health history of common foods they're eating and I see a lot of processed, I call them dead foods because there's no live enzymes, polyphenols, antioxidants, none of that live goodness in it. Like, well, that's why you feel dead. You're eating dead foods. They don't offer you life. And those are the boxed foods, packaged foods in the center of the grocery store. And yes, there's some things we may need to get there. I'm not slapping your hand for that. But I'm saying that you want to spend most of your time on the outskirts where things are refrigerated or where the colors are. And there's a reason that we salivate when we see those colors. We are designed that way. Reach for those. You just ate a lot of them. So I love that she served such beautiful live foods. It goes perfect with this. And that takes us right into anti-inflammatory foods. Now, John's going to take over from here because he's on a Mediterranean diet. But I love that you are. It is one of the best. If you're going to go on a diet, you know I don't love diets. But if you are going to lean towards one, that one's pretty awesome. And for anybody that comes to me with cholesterol, high blood pressure, heart, anything, guess what foods I'm using, which are largely Mediterranean, that would serve those. Inflammation, Mediterranean. Why? Do you guys know what the Mediterranean diet consists of? Mostly fruits and, yep. And having spent some time in Spain, I loved just observing when I was there. You guys might remember this from last month, but I was a people watcher big time because I noticed over there it was rare to see anybody that was unhealthy. That caught my eye right away, probably just because I'm in this field and I'm a little more aware than the average person. But as soon as I got off the plane, I noticed that. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to study these people the whole time I'm here. They're always moving, by the way. They were walking everywhere, so that's a big deal. But their foods, it was a Mediterranean diet, meaning they were eating fish, healthy fats, by the way, and protein, caught fresh from the Mediterranean Sea, right there, lots of greens, chlorophyll, which is, it oxygenates the blood, by the way, guys, alkaline, okay? They also use olive oil for everything. Over here we fry things, and it's the inflammatory seed oils, canola oil, vegetable oil. Over there, they don't fry, and they drizzle olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil. It's the opposite. It's anti-inflammatory oils. They had it right. Their portions, by the way, are also worth mentioning. They were correct. Over here, our portions are for 2 or more people. I very rarely, when I go out to eat, will finish a plate. Those, my gosh, you guys, we have got our portions so out of whack. Cut it in half, save it for later. Now you don't have to worry about lunch the next day. There you go. But these were their foods. Now, are you guys familiar with blue zones? The healthiest people in the world, meaning they're not just living the longest. There's 5 places in the world where these people are known to be. Japan, one of them. There's a place in California, believe it or not. Italy, so Greece. But these people not only live long. It's not just about living long. Are they mobile? Are they cognitive? You don't want to live long in a vegetable body. That's not longevity. They study the people that are living long and thriving. There's an awesome documentary by Dan Buettler. There's also a book out by him where he studied these people, but it's on Netflix, guys. It's worth watching. They eat these foods. They eat these foods. Notice the second anti-inflammatory diet. Now, I'm very careful about promoting that one. We did do a plant-based for my mom that had cancer, because cancer makes the body very acidic, as I said before, and we had to get her alkaline. And one of the quickest ways to do that with nutrition is plant-based. However, it's no joke. If you go into that one uneducated, you can be very deficient in many vitamins. In iron, in B12, calcium. I do not recommend doing that if you do not know what you're doing. Okay, so that's why I'm saying a disclaimer there. We were monitoring her blood work regularly. Okay, so know what you're doing if you're going to bite that one off, and supplement where you need to. B12 is one of those things you will need to supplement if you do a plant-based diet. You will not get that on a plant-based diet, so you'll have to supplement it. But yeah, these foods clean your blood. So you remember how before I said when you eat acidic foods, inflammatory foods, it makes it thick and sluggish, low oxygen. These foods are doing the exact opposite. And where you see greens, that's some of your most powerful foods, blood cleaning foods, oxygenated foods, because it has chlorophyll in it. Okay, I even supplement chlorophyll in the form of kelp. It smells awful. It's a sea vegetable, so I don't like to take it powder form. Some people do. If you're diehard, cool, do it. But I take it pill form. It's that important to me. It's so good for your cells and your blood. So those are some of the top players that you see right there. Okay, so just to quickly go through it, because I already talked to you about the healthy fats. Nuts and seeds are great, by the way, for snacks. But so are any of these fruits and veggies. By the way, fruits and nuts and seeds are my favorite go-to snacks. And then these veggies are the cream of the crop when it comes to anti-inflammatory. Are there others that are great? Absolutely. And I want you to explore. Your gut health, your gut microbiome, or the environment in your gut needs diversity. So I want you to explore and give it diversity to strengthen it. Okay, but these are the top players when it comes to anti-inflammatory nutrition. So chlorophyll, look for green. Okay, so back to your question. You don't want to cut out some of those big players. Arugula is also a cruciferous veggie that can give some people gas. Okay, go light on it then, or juice it. Same with kale is one of those. But cruciferous veggies, again, they're up there for a reason. If you have cancer, that would be a regular one you'd be juicing if you're on one of my meal plans. Okay, are those cruciferous veggies, because they're some of the most alkaline. Fruits, citrus fruits especially, because you'll want to supplement vitamin C as well. That's one of those supplements for anti-inflammatory. I would rather you eat most of your vitamins and minerals. But the reality is that's a lot of eating. So sometimes if there's an imbalance, you need to support with supplements. Okay? Sweet potatoes, that color. See, colors. I want you to think of the colors as I say these, and some of them are up there for you. Herbs are medicinal. They're powerful. And believe it or not, a lot of pharmaceutical companies use herbs and try to get the power of herbs. They're trying to duplicate what nature already perfected, really. Sometimes, yes, medicine is needed for certain conditions, but that's your most powerful medicine. I'll say that over and over again. Whole grains, I lean away from gluten grains. Again, gut health. Okay? And then fermented foods, gut health. Gut health, gut health, gut health. Okay, I even take, that's one of them I take regularly, is a probiotic. For that reason. If you take no other supplements, please take a probiotic or eat it regularly. Give your gut some love. Eat the rainbow, okay? Almost done, guys. Hang in there with me. I touched on juicing. You want to get these nutrients in your blood quickly. You can bypass digestion, get it within your bloodstream within 15 to 20 minutes. You juice. You're feeling under the weather? I recommend juicing. When I say juice, I'm saying mostly veggies, one fruit. Because you don't want a fruit cocktail. That's sugar. Because you're removing the fiber. Remember that. When you juice, you're removing the fiber. Unlike a smoothie, you keep it all together. The skins are in there too. So you're getting fiber. There's a place for both. Let me tell you that. I love my smoothies. So do my kids. And it's filling with the smoothie. But if you have an inflammatory condition, you need more nutrients in you and quickly, juicing is the way to go. But do both as well. I like to do both. I think both are necessary and important. Smoothies are great for gut health because of the fiber. But again, if you need the nutrients in your blood quicker and you want to absorb more of it and bypass digestion, juicing's great for that. Just make sure it's not straight fruits, because then you're just getting sugar without the fiber. And that'll spike your blood sugar. That's why I say that. Mostly veggies. If you're going to juice, one fruit, just for your taste buds, really. Okay? But supplements. Those are obviously, if I have a client with a health condition, I'm going to look at your blood work and I'm going to see where the deficiencies are, and those would also be listed as well. But these are on the list of people with inflammatory conditions. Okay, these will love your body back. These help douse the inflammation fire, is what I'm saying. Little tips here. Take a quick picture of this one. I won't spend too long on it. It doesn't have to be complicated, but there is no way around it if you want To change the way you feel, you have to do something different. And yes, you're going to have to invest some time in the kitchen. It's when we're out of the kitchen that we get in trouble. We have to reconnect with food. We have to rebuild that relationship, and it is a relationship. And if you're not in the kitchen with your food, it's not going to be, just like if you don't spend time with somebody, how are you building a healthy relationship with them, right? I want you to see your food the same way. I would love it if you sit there and talk to your food and be crazy like me, but honestly, we need to spend more time in the kitchen. We've gotten away from how it used to be, and that is a big problem. We had it right not that long ago. And not that long ago, we were actually growing our own food, okay? The way food's grown now is grown so fast and so often that even the soil is deficient of a lot of the minerals that we need, which is why we are now having to supplement for it. I can go on and on about that, but there's ways to do it. This is what I want for you. And I know you want it for you. We are not meant to hurt. Again, your natural state is health. Heal, don't manage. It is possible. I see it all the time. And guess what? What's cool is you have a lot of these available to you. I will actually, before I even met Tom and Rachel at Be Healthy, I'm telling you, you all need to go to Be Healthy Utah. But before I even met them, I was pointing clients to these therapies, especially my clients with cancer and autoimmune conditions. I'm saying, cool, do all the nutrition stuff. That's where a lot of your healing is. But if you want to speed that process up, come here. But oxygen is big. Oxygen is big. Red light therapy is big. These are all very anti-inflammatory. I will add in, my mom did oxygen therapy. We had to get oxygen into those cells, guys. We needed her to be more alkaline and oxygenated. But also, she drank ozone water, which is also known as oxygenated water. She ended up buying a machine to do that. You can also drink alkaline water. So I hope you're getting used to the lingo I'm using, alkaline, acidic. We want alkaline, right? So when you see alkaline water, ooh, that's attractive to me, yeah. And there is too much of a good thing. We got to keep a balance. And some people go die hard on the alkaline side. It's like, whoa, 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 your body needs a balance, right? So rein it in. There's a balance. So this is what I say for good gut hygiene anyway, but also not to dilute any enzymes that could benefit you from your food. I drink it outside of meal times, outside of solids. So that's number one right there. That's gut health 101. Drink your liquids outside of meal times, because if you look at try to picture how your intestines are, right? And if you have food and then you have water and food, that actually can cause indigestion and bloat. So especially those with an imbalance with gut health, shy away from drinking your liquids with food. So that's number one right there. So it can do a couple different, more than what you're saying, could actually do all those things as well. So good practice is drink your water, but especially alkaline water if you want more of the benefits outside of meal times or solids. At least a half hour, by the way. So you get the most out of it. So I love giving you guys resources as well. Never just take my word for it. Please study. You don't have to study like I do. I get that I love this more than the average person. But this is a great one. Good energy if you want to go on a cellular level and understand what's going on there. Spontaneous healing if you have a health condition. Radical remission if you know somebody with cancer or have cancer. What are you hungry for if you're trying to rebuild your relationship with food? Clean gut issues. Everything I said today will make sense. The Juicing Bible, if you want to get more into the juicing world, so many recipes, and it'll even talk about health conditions and then point you to recipes for it. Okay? So those are the ones I recommend. And then clean your tank. This is just a recap of what we talked about today. You've got to clean your environment. You can do all the right things, but you can't put yourself back into a toxic environment and expect to heal. You got to clean your tank. Manage your stress. Do more of what brings you peace. Exclamation mark. Get sun and fresh air. Prioritize sleep. Regular movement, however that looks for you. Test and remove reactive foods. Add in more longevity foods, live foods. And listen to your body. Connect and align those two, mind, body. Get them working on the same team. And then if you're really ready to go there, Andrea and I are doing a detox next month. This is our second time doing it, where we wrote a meal plan. It's a 14-day detox. So it's cell health, it's a gut cleanse, we're breaking sugar and caffeine addictions, and we go through it with you, and it's regular phone calls, because we know detoxes are no joke. You'll be on ornery cuss a couple days in. Real talk, I'm telling you how it's going to be, and I've done it many times. I personally like to detox every 3 months or so. This was an important part of my mom's healing. You have to detox, you have to offload to get your cells in a state of balance, and then bring in the goods on top of that. It'll also retrain your palate. So do you know it takes about 2 weeks to retrain your palate to want and crave the correct foods? So anytime somebody's trying to make a change in their diet, it's like, hang in there for a couple weeks. Hang in there. And that's why we wanted you for 14 days as well. Before we unleash you again, we want your palate retrained. Well, thank you so much for making the trek in the weather.
Thank you for joining us. Yes, I will absolutely write some notes up about the salad. Most of you are signed up for the next class. Welcome to our Fighting Inflammation class. For those of you that weren't here last time or don't know who I am, my name is Andrea and this is Kahiki. And each class that we're doing, I'm making a few things that have to do with the topic we're talking about. And I'm going to pass something out right now. And then when we break in the middle, I'll be passing something else out. So this is, if you've never had this before, this is called golden milk or a turmeric latte. Has anyone ever not had this before? Okay, there's no coffee, no tea, no caffeine. This is literally turmeric, almond milk, coconut milk. Everything I do, just so you know, is naturally gluten-free, dairy-free. So yeah, sorry. Let me throw that out there right at the beginning. Everything I do is gluten and dairy-free. So yeah, it's this. I made it with a combination of coconut milk and almond milk because I kind of like the fat of the coconut milk, and then the almond milk's a little thinner. And then it's got vanilla. I've got most of the ingredients right up there. I used whole turmeric for this. If you guys have never seen this, it looks just like ginger, and it's usually right next to the ginger at the grocery store. But if I break this open, it's this beautiful. Yes, it does. But a little baking soda and water will help that. I was really careful at home and like my clothes and everything. But it's so incredibly healing, anti-inflammatory, pain in joints, things like that. You will see this in all of the flu wellness shots that I noticed are already in the grocery store today, I think because of the beginning of school. And so turmeric shows up in our supplements. So what's really nice is to use the real form of it, is what I love doing. And so that's what you got in this latte. And something you can do with it is just to have like a little grater. If you just keep this in your freezer and you just grate a little bit into whatever you're making, like you're making soup, you're making a stew, grate a little bit of this into the pan when you're sauteing your vegetables, and you've just added like a major antioxidant, fungal, bacterial, all those wonderful things in there. So I do have the recipe if you guys want to take that, and just take that and pass it back. So that you can sip on while we start. Turmeric is such an incredibly powerful spice. There's a reason why it is used in other cultures as like the main ingredient in a lot of like curries and things like that. It is so healing, but I'll tell you, there's a reason why I used the fresh version, because this still has life in it. This still has water and oils. It has everything. So if you think about when something is powdered, Still really good. It's dehydrated and everything, but it's missing the oils. It's missing like the completeness. Still good. I'm not saying don't use this, but if you can find this. Use the whole form, especially for something like turmeric. And you can just buy this little knob and grate a little bit into whatever you're cooking. It is a little bitter if you put too much. That's what I say, like if I'm making a soup, I might just do a little bit into the pan when I'm sauteing the garlic and the onions and everything, and then it kind of blends right in, and I have this beautiful yellow color to my soup, and I put like this really massively powerful healing ingredient in. And again, because it has all of its components still with it, the oils and everything, the life is still in it. And then I gave you guys all the recipe for the turmeric milk. I gave you a powdered spice version, and then, you know, a whole version, like with the whole cinnamon and everything. And what's really nice is if you just want to make a jar of it and just put it in the fridge and let it sit, and you just pour some out whenever you want it. And then you have this like wonderful warming drink. You can do more pepper. The curcumin is the major like healing property of turmeric, and it gets activated with things like black pepper. There's something that it helps activate that component of it, and so there is black pepper in that. And I only sweetened it with honey, local Utah honey. So it's just kind of finding that balance between the turmeric and that. Yeah.
The milk.
Yeah.
Milk of choice. What did you choose?
I used almond milk.
Almond.
Yeah. Because all coconut milk might be a little too fatty, like on your tongue. So I kind of did a half and half, but you can do it with whatever you want, however you want. There's a million recipes online too. And you put some black tea in it if you want it in the morning with a little caffeine. Like black tea would be amazing in there.